Welcome to the Catch Up Rundown, your home for fast headlines, stories shaping this week in sports, and takes that are hotter than your girlfriend. So, as you know, everyone, I am joined, as always, by my semi beautiful cousin, Kason Sperry, and we are joined by a brand new host who will be joining us on each and every one of our Catch Up Rundown episodes. Everybody, give it up for the one, and I don't know if he's the only, but Connor Hooper.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I thought you were going to say
Nope.
more than that. But anyways, so
Simple man.
we just keep it quick and casual. Anyways, so our rundown episodes, they will kind of just be full on sports. So if you're not really interested in our sports content, you can wait until Friday for our regular content with me and
Or you
Kason.
could get interested and start
But
listening. Or they
what?
could just get interested and start listening.
That too. You
So
can
I-
also just get interested and just listen to our very hot takes. Because like I said, they are hotter than your
I don't
girlfriend
have a good
or boyfriend, whatever you prefer. I don't know.
You know what else is
But-
hotter? I'm
What?
also going to be doing adult content.
No,
So if
you're
you got-
no.
Oh.
This is as bad as the first start when he tried to start this.
Oh, I was just
Anyways.
say,
Yo,
could be
well,
fun.
you guys are horrible people. Well, we're gonna kick it right off with our first segment of every episode, which will be known as the opening tip-off. So I will be reading off 3 to 5 headlines that will come from each week, and we'll switch off each week. But this week I will be reading them off, and Kason and Connor will have 15 to 30 seconds to react to each of these headlines. So the first headline is, with Baker Mayfield's injury, and if it is serious, what is the impact on the Bucs' playoff chances? Kason, you go first.
It's over.
You
All
think
I
it's
got.
over?
It's over for
Bro,
the
you don't
Bucs.
have faith in Teddy Two Gloves?
Don't, bro. I really don't. As much as I want to, it's just
I'm
they
gonna be
need
honest.
Baker. That team
When
needs Baker.
When I saw he was the backup quarterback, I'm like, I really pray for the Buccaneers that Baker's injury is
But
not
here's
serious.
why.
Because if it is,
Oh, sorry.
what was that? Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, here's
Anyways,
why.
I was just oh my
Here's
hell.
why. Here's why that the Bucs' chances are not screwed is because next man up in the division is the Panthers. They're currently losing to the 49ers in Monday Night Football. Then they have to play the Rams, which they're going to get creamed by the Rams. Then they got to go over. They're going to go to the Saints. They'll win the Saints. Then they have to face the Bucs. By that time, Baker's going to be back because they're thinking it's just a left shoulder sprain and it's not even his throwing arm. So who gives a freak? And then they're going to lose to the Seahawks, and then they're going to lose to the Bucs again. So the Bucs they still have complete control of the division.
Yeah, I'd agree. That was kind of my take, but anyways, our next headline for opening tip-off: the Chicago Bears pull off a gritty 31-28 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, despite a frustrating performance from quarterback Caleb Williams. The team shows playoff promise at 8-3. Is this legitimate momentum, or is it a mask of deeper issues within the
I hate the
Bears
Bears. I
organization?
hate the Bears.
We're a Packers fan. You're supposed to hate the
they
Bears.
almost lost to Mason
Yeah,
Rudolph.
Bears.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers did go down in that
they
game.
almost lost to Mason Rudolph. They have to face the Eagles,
Yeah.
then they have to face the Packers, then they have to face the Browns, which doesn't sound like much. Shedeur looked all right, and Myles Garrett's insane. Then they have to go to the Packers again, and then they face the 49ers, and then they face the Lions.
Yeah, they probably have one of the toughest schedules coming up, and that 8-3 record looks like it's going to be
I
shaved
assume
off.
maybe
real
2 wins
quick.
out of this. So if 10 and 7 can get a
I
win.
Jason, what
assume
about
my-
you?
Yeah, my take on that week, that game, is Steelers had a bad week. That's all I can say. I don't really see much coming out of the Bears. So
I agree. So to kind of shift, opening tip-off headline number 3, which is the last one: Michigan versus Ohio State. Will there be an upset, or will it be dominance?
I'm going to say I want to see dominance. Yeah, I really do. I like a undefeated record for Ohio State. Could be a hot take, but I really do. I'd like to see dominance out of this game.
I think it will be dominance. I hope it's an upset because I don't like Ohio State at all. But I also like hate the SEC more than I hate Ohio State, so I kind of want them to keep dominating. But Michigan won by 2 points against Northwestern. you've never even heard of Northwestern, so that should tell you all you need to know about Michigan. I don't trust them at all. They got killed by USC, so I don't know. I think they're going to lose.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Michigan does win, it's probably by some sort of miracle. But I'd have to agree. I think Ohio State wins. I don't know if it's in a dominating factor, but I think Ohio State wins
Yeah,
this
that's
game.
true because also rivalries are a thing. Why you'd sucked for all those years, but we'd still give Utah games.
Yeah, no matter what.
Mhm.
So, okay, what are your guys' biggest takeaways from this week in sports? I'll start. My biggest takeaway is this will kind of go into a later topic, but I think Matt Stafford and the Rams look like probably the best team in the NFL.
I
I think
agree.
I don't because just the way they've played, the way their defense plays, the way Stafford's been playing, and just the way that offense has been clicking on all cylinders. I just think my biggest takeaway after this week is the Rams. You can put record aside, you can put all these other things aside. I think the Rams are the number one team in the NFL, and there's not a lot of teams that look like they can beat them, right? Because you take 2 plays away from their loss, you take 1 play away from each of their losses, they're 10-0. They're 10-0, or they're 11-0. I don't know if they've had their bye week, but they're undefeated. You take away 1 play from each of those losses, they're undefeated. And so I don't know. It's just they just look like the best team. That's kind of my biggest
Mhm.
takeaway.
My biggest takeaway is rolling off of yours is that Matt Stafford is the MVP of the league so far this year. It's either him or Jonathan Taylor, and it's a quarterback's award apparently. So I think Matt Stafford should be the MVP.
Yeah. Because it is a quarterback's award, I kind of do agree. I do firmly believe it should be Jonathan Taylor, but because they've just given it to quarterbacks so much, they'll probably give it to Stafford. Not that he isn't deserving.
Well, he's 28-2, so I mean, like 28 tuds and 2 picks.
Yeah.
That should get you a MVP.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. My biggest takeaway this week is it's the Cowboys' year, man. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I had to say, I'm just excited about the win over Philly. But my biggest takeaway is, geez, I really wanted to say something about the Rams, but you guys kind of took that away from me. But honestly, like my biggest takeaway is the Lions are not going to be as good this year. They just haven't really shown much. I mean, they did come out with a win against the Giants, a win I think on the scoreboard, but in statistics and everything like that, I dare say the Giants won that game. So
I'd honestly agree, just because Jahmyr Gibbs, he had 3 total touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
Dude scored 55 fetching fantasy points. So that just tells you how good he played in that game. But the Giants, they played great too. They played some good football in that game. It just came down to the last few plays in a very Jameis Winston way. But
Well,
yeah.
I have something. So the Giants D coordinator Shane Bowen, right? How he
Mhm.
got fired now, right? For sitting there
Yeah.
D tackle in the most critical moment in the game when the Lions run straight up the gut for an 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my takes. Also, can I switch over to a college football take?
Yeah, do it.
Dave Portnoy is awesome, and BYU should be a playoff team, even if they lose in the Big 12 championship, which I don't think we will because I think Bear had an exceptionally terrible game that game, and he's such a stud that he will bounce back from that. He learned, look at the TCU the game after, absolute dominance. We've got tape on tech now. They didn't get our best performance, but we got their best performance. I feel like it'll be a lot closer. But even if we lose that game, we should still be a college football team, playoff team.
I think so. I saw a stat today where we have the most wins against bowl eligible teams.
Well, no, we have
now.
one less than Ohio State has 9. We have 8.
No, they have 5.
I swear I
We
saw
have
the same
6.
stat.
No, I think they only have 5 and we have 6.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a different stat. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we have 6. And so I don't see why we're even outside of the top 12. Well, not the top 12. I don't see why we're outside the top 10. That's
Yeah.
my thing. Those people who think otherwise, they can go shove
Notre
it or
Dame should
whatever.
not be above us with 2 losses.
Especially when one of those losses is to Miami, who's lower than BYU
Yep.
in the rankings.
We We should be in the playoffs. Notre Dame should not be above us. And also, oh shoot, what was I going to say? I don't remember.
But anyways, we will move on into the rundown. So we're going to start to kind of keep it on the college football train for a second. So with the upcoming conference championship games, do you think teams should try to avoid the conference championship game title or the conference title game altogether if it hinders their opportunity to make the playoff? Because as we kind of talked about, BYU, really the only way that a lot of the committee looks at if they make the only way they can make the playoff is if they win against Texas Tech in the Big 12 game. I don't agree with that, but that's just the way it's going to be, whether we like it or not. So do you think teams should just try to avoid their conference title games altogether? Because last year, Ohio State, they didn't play in the Big 10 title game, and look what happened to them. They won the national title. So do you think they should just skip it altogether, or do you think that's still an important stat to have on your
Well, in BYU's
your
case,
resume?
we have to win it to get in, because if we skipped out on it, it's another loss on the record, but we only have one loss now and they still don't have us in the playoffs. But teams like the teams in the SEC, yeah, sure, it makes sense to rest your starters an extra week. Like, why not? They're going to be in anyways. They have 6 teams in the playoffs. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's a great idea, but it makes sense for teams that don't need to play in the championship to get in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with Connor, but I'm just going to be like, kind of the reality of it all is BYU needs to win a Big 12 championship, because chances of us beating someone like Ohio State or like Texas A&M or someone like that in the college football playoffs isn't very likely. So I do like to see a Big 12 championship win rather than skipping it and then losing in the playoffs, if that makes sense. I'd rather get a win, lose in the playoffs, than skip it and then lose in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, I think.
My take is that Joe Burrow should probably. I'm kind of stuck in the middle. I understand why he's playing, but I also think for his health, he should probably sit out the rest of the season, because the Bengals' offensive line is absolutely terrible. All he's going to do is hurt himself. Sure, he's getting playing time, and like that can only help him. But I think Joe Burrow should sit out the rest of the year, because they have no playoff hopes, or they're not in contention at all.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that one. I don't think we're going to see the Joe Burrow everyone wants to see until he either gets traded or somehow the offensive line decides to show up and starts doing what they're paid to do.
Yeah, I agree, because one, as you mentioned, they're out of playoff contention, and it makes no sense to risk his health further to play him when you're not in playoff contention at all, and when you have one of the statistically worst defenses in the league, and when your offensive line is also one of the worst in the league. I see why the Bengals would want to play him, so that, like you guys mentioned, just some playing time, some experience, but I think the Bengals are better suited to sit him and just give a run at it next year, and they've got to make a splash on the O-line and the defense if they're want to make another, because they were in the Super Bowl 4 years ago, and they haven't really gotten close since. And so they need to make some changes, and they just aren't doing it. And it's costing Joe Burrow, and his health really is what it's costing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of transition just because we're talking a lot about football and everything like that. One I kind of want to go over, because I know both of you are Golden State Warrior fans and Steph Curry fans, so we can kind of merge these two together. But Jackson mentioned one and Connor mentioned one about the Warriors that I thought was pretty interesting. Is this the Warriors' last shot at an NBA title? I want to hear you guys' take on that.
Connor, I'll let you go first.
I think this is Steph's kind of last shot at the title, but definitely not the Warriors, because say you drafted Jordan Poole again. Jordan Poole only left because he wasn't the guy, and he wanted to go be the guy somewhere, obviously.
Yeah, and
that didn't work for him, but he was the number 2 guy, because Clay was kind of going downhill, and then he left to go to Dallas. So, I mean, Jordan Poole could have been the 2, Steph the 1, and we would have won the chip, but, he left to do his own thing. But I think it's Steph's last shot. not necessarily the Warriors.
Yeah. My thoughts on this, on the Warriors shot at the title. I think it's this group of Warriors' last shot at a title. Like, I think, because, like, I think them bringing in Jimmy Butler last year was kind of like, because I know Draymond Green and Steph kind of said something just like, this is the last ride. Like, this is our last, like, push for a title. They won back in 2022, which is probably one of my favorite NBA seasons for the Warriors because, that Steph won his finals MVP, proved that they could still do it without Durant, which they could have beat those LeBron teams without Durant anyways, in my opinion. Probably not as handedly, but they still would have. And, I do agree with Connor that Steph's at the very tail end of his career, that I think it is his last shot at a title. And I just think, and I'd love to see him win his fifth as much of a fan as I am of him. And I think they could make a run at it, but it'd take a lot, I think.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think it could be Steph's last shot at a title, and because it is Steph's last shot, I think it is this group, like Jackson said. They've got a lot to overcome this season. They've got a lot to do and a lot of work to put in, but I think they can do it. So
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So what was the bigger deal? What do you guys think was the bigger deal from this week? Kind of going back into the NFL just for a tiny bit. Was the Eagles' loss a bigger deal, or was the Chiefs' win a bigger deal from this week? I want to get your guys' thoughts on this before I chime in.
Oh, I don't know. I think the Chiefs are overall kind of mid this year. I don't think the dynasty's over, but I think they need some new pieces for Mahomes. I think Travis has gone downhill. Philly's loss, I think Philly was really good last year. I think they're kind of frauds this year. I think their defense, they all left. Granted, they got Brandon Graham back now out of retirement, but I don't know. Jalen Hurts is not the guy. Jalen Hurts is JJ McCarthy. Jalen Hurts is the what JJ McCarthy was at Michigan when they won the title. A game manager. He's not a quarterback. Like, you're seeing what JJ McCarthy actually is in the NFL right now. That's his style of play, and the way he was at Michigan is what Jalen Hurts is now.
Okay. What about you, Kason?
I think you know how I feel. How about them Cowboys, huh? No, I honestly think a bigger deal. Kind of like Connor mentioned, and I'm not just saying this because the Cowboys beat him this week, but I mentioned it even before with you, Jackson, on our podcast. I don't think the Eagles are it. I just really don't. Connor brought up a good point. They have tons of people, tons of talent and everything on their squad that just isn't being used because Jalen Hurts
AJ Brown,
isn't the guy. Yeah, exactly. AJ Brown, he has how many targets this
barely
season?
any.
Which is
Like,
crazy.
it makes me
Yeah,
so mad because I have him in fantasy in like 3 leagues.
Well, and
Yeah,
he hates being on that team.
he does. And it's sad because you look at every team, if you pull up depth charts of any team in the NFL, I dare guess the Eagles have a top 5 team as far as talent goes. And it's all being thrown away because they don't have anyone to lead them. They need a leader as a quarterback, and Jalen Hurts is too much of a one-man show kind of thing.
AJ Brown should go to the Packers.
Should come to Dallas.
He won't go to Dallas.
But you guys got
No,
Zeke
he won't.
and
Those are
freaking George
reversed.
Pickens. Y'all are fine.
You need a defense, though.
Yeah, you guys
That's
have
what we
enough
need.
good
Honestly,
receivers.
you guys are kind of good this year.
We just have Jalen Waddle. That's all we have.
Like, as much as I
But-
hate the Cowboys, you guys are kind of
Anyways,
good this year.
Yeah.
We just need a
They're
defense,
5-5-1,
man. We have
so-
nothing. Don't have a defense.
Well, you traded your defense to Green Bay.
Thank
But you can
Jerry.
stop the run now.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah.
True. I'd have to agree with you guys. I do think the Eagles' loss is a bigger deal just because they were number 1 in the NFC going into this week. They were also up 21-0, and they threw it away. They had 2 fumbles. They couldn't pull it in together. Honestly, they did not look like a playoff team in this game. They did not look like it in my eyes. And as big of a deal as the Chiefs game is, I'm with Connor. I don't think that dynasty's over. I do think this team is not near as good as last year's Chiefs team. because this year's Chiefs team only has one win against a team who's currently in the playoff race, and that was this last week against the Colts. Opposed to the last 17 games before that against current playoff teams that they won all 17 of those before that. And so, but I do think, I know Kason and I have mentioned it before, I just think the Eagles won't make it. I think it's going to be, like I said earlier in this, I think the Rams are the number one team in the NFL right now. I think the NFC is going to go through LA, and I think the Rams are going to win the NFC. I don't see a team in the NFC right now who can compete with LA at the moment.
Mm.
And so I know you think the Packers can,
We would.
but that Rams offense is just too tough, in my opinion. Matt Stafford's playing way too good
clearly
football.
haven't heard of Xavier McKinney. You clearly haven't heard of Javon Bullard.
You know what? We'll let them play it out on the field, and we'll see what happens in January. You know, but that's just my thought, is I just don't see anyone beating the Rams right now. They might drop it one or two more games here before the end of the season, but I just don't see anyone topping the Rams when it comes to the NFC championship in total.
What about really? The Rams could lose in their own division. Like, the Seahawks are looking good. Sam Darnold's balling.
And to be quite honest, if Sam Darnold throws one less interception, the Seahawks win that game.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, that's how close that game was. But I don't know. I think they play one more time, but I could be mistaken. But I do believe they play one more time before the season ends. But Connor, do you want to read the next one?
I'll bring it over to OKC. Talking about the Thunder, and do we think that they can, because technically right now they're on pace to win 77 games. Will they get over 70 wins this year? And also, who's going to take them out in the playoffs? Is there a team that can take them out in the playoffs?
My thoughts on this, you know, last year the Cavs started 14-0, 15-0, something along those lines. We were saying the same thing this time last year, I think, about the Cavs. You know, they're going to probably win 70 games. You know how hard it is to win 70 games in the NBA? Only 2 teams have done it ever, in however many years the NBA's been around. You know, and those 2 teams that did it were really freaking good teams, really good teams. And so my thoughts on that is I don't think so. They'll probably win 68. They'll probably win 67, maybe 69 games. 70's tough. 70's tough.
Did you say 67?
Shut up. I hate
Sorry.
you all. I don't know why I agreed to do this. Those are my thoughts. But in terms of who can beat him in the playoffs, I don't know. It's tough. You get Shea, who foul baits every time he has the ball in the paint, and then I don't know. It'll be tough to see who beats him, just because they play a very unique style of basketball, and it'll be interesting to see who can compete with them in the West.
And that's what I love about the NBA is, honestly, like Jackson said, there have been only 2 teams who have ever gotten to 70 points, which is something that I like, because up until the very end, honestly, like, as much as you want to say, like, oh, like they're defending the title, or oh, it's LeBron James and the Lakers, it doesn't really matter up until the very end. And that's something that I really like about the NBA. So I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see, and it'd be fun to see them get 70 wins. But I don't want to say it's too early either, because I mean, yeah, it's early in the season, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think really right now the only people who can beat them is the Spurs, because of that 9-foot tall alien that they've got in the middle. Because he does not need to move to block Shea. He could literally just stand there in legal position when Shea drives, and can't foul him because he's can't get the ball over his head. You know.
Yeah, he wouldn't even need to lift his arms up honestly. He could bend down and tie his shoe and he'd be fine. All right. Something that's been on my mind a lot, and probably because I'm biased to my Cougs, but dude, I don't know who's in charge of this whole AP poll thing, but it's really pissing me off, man. It's really bugging me. I just want to know what you guys think. What do you guys think about the standings and where everyone's at right now?
I also really hate the AP poll, but it literally has nothing to do with like the future of the playoffs. 'Cause
AP poll or the CFP poll?
the AP poll, he's talking about the AP
Hmm.
because the committee poll does matter. The AP poll is literally
Yeah.
just the Associated Press. Anything that has to sort of do with basketball, they get to decide who they think is the top 25.
Are we talking about basketball or football?
With for BYU's case, both, to be honest with you, because
That's
how
true,
do
yeah.
we
Yeah.
go in number 8, lose to number 1 or number 3 UConn by 2 points, and then drop?
That's what I'm talking. I'm talking basketball right now. I know we mentioned
But even in football,
football. Yeah.
like honestly, how is freaking Notre Dame ahead of us? I don't get it. But anyways, specifically basketball, the Associated Press has nothing to do with it, so we don't really have to worry about it. But it just kind of makes me angry every single time I see it. I think
No, the Associated Press is only good for writing books
Yep.
that tell you that your English teachers lied to you your whole
Mhm.
life.
I think
Exactly.
Arizona should be above Purdue. I think they should flip flop Arizona and Purdue.
Yeah. With me, I think for football, get rid of the AP poll. If you only have one poll that matters, why have the other
Mhm.
one? You know, it makes no
Yeah.
sense. Why have it? You know, let's just get rid of it altogether. You know, basketball, that's the only one they do, so it is important, but at the same time, it's dumb. Like you said, with BYU losing to UConn, it was a close game. That was honestly either team's game. Obviously, BYU got the short end of the stick with the 2-point loss. They honestly shouldn't have dropped. Because you play UConn, who's won 2 national championships in the last 3 years. You know, if you play a team like that and you only lose by 2 points with a team that,
Mhm.
It's a
who
brand
they
new team,
added really
mind you.
one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 2 guys because they added Robert Wright.
Yeah.
And so that's my thing is I don't see why they dropped, and I don't see why they didn't move this week because they didn't move because they destroyed a ranked Wisconsin team by 28 points and they didn't
Yep.
move. Makes no sense. We drop when we lose, but we don't even move when we
Arizona-
win, which makes no
Arizona beat UConn, and Purdue beat Texas Tech. Texas Tech is not a basketball school. UConn is.
Yeah, UConn is a basketball school, so I don't know. I think for college, get rid of the AP poll. It makes no sense. It doesn't matter. Halfway through the season, it becomes pointless because they don't go off
Mhm.
it. You know, that's not what gets you into the playoff. If the AP poll got you into the playoff, there'd be different teams in the playoff than what are in right now. Versus who the college football playoff committee thinks should be in the playoff. So I think you just get rid of the one and keep in football and just keep the college football playoff one. And I think the AP poll in basketball can do better. I think they can do better in terms of who they rank where, in my opinion.
Exactly. And I think
So-
both of you said it perfect. It pisses me off. More than it should. But it's just so frustrating to see. And like I said, I'm a little biased because it's BYU, but and that's what I think is happening is it's because it's BYU. We're getting screwed on both CFP and the basketball AP poll. I don't like the Associated Press, and I don't know why they have to be involved because really it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Honestly, in either of them. Like I think in basketball, like a little bit, but we could do without. Honestly, I just think it's bugging me a lot. And anyway, we should move on before my blood pressure continues to rise.
Okay, well, this will be the last one, I think. Do you guys think the lottery pick should be broadcast to make sure that it is truly random? Why or why not?
Yes, I'm very passionate about this. Me and my other buddy talk about this all the time. I think the reason, this is my conspiracy theory, I think the reason Nico Harrison traded Luka is because Adam Silver promised him the number 1 pick in the lottery to be able to get whoever he wanted. Just to make the Lakers give Braun one last chance to win the chip, Because the Lakers are the team in the NBA. You ask someone who's not associated with sports, you ask them what basketball team they know, they say the Lakers.
Or they just say whatever team LeBron's on because that's what they know.
Yeah, what's your favorite team? And they say LeBron James. It's so stupid because us small market teams, we're in Utah. We're not a big market, what they consider a big market. We get screwed over. They don't want their stars going to the small market teams like us, so we get screwed over every year. It needs to be broadcasted, and It's not. It should not be in envelopes that they can pick. It should be like one of those blowing things that blows ping pong balls around until it gets a random one, and then it pops out, and you read that. Like if it's truly a lottery pick, it should be like that.
You know what I
Mm.
think? I think you get rid of the lottery altogether.
I
I was just gonna say
I
that.
also kind of was thinking about that, but also the point of the lottery is to like encourage teams not to tank because you're not guaranteed a good pick.
No, I just think you should get rid of it. Kind of like what you said. I think the lottery pick is stupid. I think it's dumb. I think it makes no sense because you're rewarding, like this last year, you're rewarding a Mavericks team who traded away their best guy. You gave him the #1 pick. It's dumb. That shouldn't happen. You know, they made a dumb mistake. Let them live with that mistake. You know, and they really are right now because it hasn't done anything for them. It's helped the Lakers a crap ton, but it hasn't done anything for the Mavericks. And on one hand, I think if one team has the worst record, give them the #1 pick. Let them have a chance to actually improve their roster in the way that they see fit. Don't because like the Jazz, they got the 5th pick. They got hosed this last year. They are absolutely screwed. And I think it's dumb. That's why I like, because the NFL, they don't do it. And, obviously they just have some franchises that will never not pick in the top 10. And that's just kind of how it is. I'm sorry, Jets fans, but that's just your reality. And maybe some of you Cleveland Brown fans too. I don't know. Like you have a few
What
good
have you
years, but
guys
other
done
than that,
since '72?
hey, you know what? We went to the Super Bowl in '84. That's all I'm saying. But anyways, but we haven't done much since. We've made the playoffs twice, 3 times in my lifetime. I think that's
I
pretty
think that's
good.
how many
It's
times
better
we've
than the
missed the
Jets.
playoffs in my lifetime.
Hey, you know what? You've had Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and Jordan Love pretty much almost on all of your lifetime. So you can just shove it. But that's just my opinion. I think the lottery should just be done away with. I don't see why they still do it. That's the bottom line for me. I just think they should get rid of it. Kaysen, did you have something to say?
I was just nervous you guys were gonna come at me when you were talking about Super Bowl appearance and stuff like that, so I just got a little scared.
No,
But you guys have
catching our
actually made the
strays.
playoffs.
Okay, we're good. Anyway, no, I agree. I think I agree with both of you. I mean, I can see its purpose, but I also hate that that's its purpose. So I agree. Kind of like if a team's sucking, they obviously need some help. So why not give them the first pick? That's pretty much all I gotta say.
Okay. Well, we will move on to weekly pick'em for college football and the NFL. We will start with the NFL this week. So we got Thanksgiving
Packers.
game slate.
I picked the Packers.
So we're gonna do both of you. I'll read them off this week. Each of you will say your pick, and if there's a tie, I'll be the tiebreaker. So the first game on our Thanksgiving slate is the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. What is your guys' pick?
Packers are gonna win again. They're gonna dominate like they did the first week of the season.
Kaysen, what's your pick?
Dude, I'm honestly not impressed. I'm gonna have to give a personal apology here to both Staten and Matt. I'm not impressed with the Lions, and I'm gonna choose the Packers on this one.
Okay, so we will pick the
Who are you
Packers.
picking?
And then our next slate is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Hold on,
versus-
hold
gotta
on.
pick.
Who are
You
you
gotta
picking?
pick.
Fark.
Well, it's 2-0. It doesn't matter what I pick.
No,
It's
but
everyone.
we're
I
going
want to know.
individual.
Oh, that's right. You know what? For Staten and Matt's sake,
Oh.
and just to spite Connor, I'm going to pick the Detroit
Whoever
Lions.
the Dolphins are facing, they're
Yeah.
gonna get whooped.
I don't even know who we face. They're not even. Oh, they play the Saints. We're not getting
No, you're
whooped.
getting
I'm
whooped.
sorry.
Dang it.
So just to spite Connor, I'm picking the Lions. So and
Okay.
because of Staten and Matt, I'd like to see them win. But our next game is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys. What is your guys' pick?
And
I know Kaysen.
this is tough because there's going to be a lot of points scored, and it's just going to come down to number of possessions because both defenses are pretty terrible.
Oh,
Dang,
yeah,
this
that's
one's
true.
tough. I don't know. I really, 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 really hate the Cowboys because, like, they're in the NFC. I've got to hate the Cowboys, but I think they're going to win.
So Connor picks the Cowboys. Kaysen, unless you decide to pull a weird one, I'm thinking you're picking the Cowboys.
I am. And here's the thing. I don't any other team, if any other team were playing them this week, and I'm not just saying that because the Cowboys are playing them this week, but I like Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes is my quarterback, but I'm preying on their downfall. Okay. And that's all I got to say. Go Cowboys.
So for me, this one's kind of tricky just because Kansas City, we don't really know who Kansas City is yet, I think. I don't think we know who they are yet. I don't think a lot of people know who they are yet. My thing is I think the reason they're 6-5 is because teams have just figured them out and they haven't really known how to react to that. But I am genuinely impressed with how the Cowboys played last week against the Eagles. They are at home again, Dallas is. Dak Prescott seems to play pretty decent against these really good teams. And so as much as I don't want to go against Andy Reid, I think I got to pick the Cowboys just because they're in their home turf on Thanksgiving. It's a game they play on every year, on Thanksgiving. I don't think I can go against Dallas this week. Just with the way they came back, being down 21 points. I don't know. I just don't see. I'd love to see the Chiefs try to pull it out, but I just think the Cowboys.
But I think Mahomes has got that dog in him that he knows they can't lose much if they're going to make the playoffs. So
Yeah,
I think I'm
and
going to
that's
switch
what
over to
makes
the
it tough.
Chiefs. I'm going to switch to the Chiefs, actually.
You're a whore. You're a whore. You're a dirty whore. All right, fine.
So our third and last Thanksgiving game is the Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. Honestly, I feel like this one's a no-brainer. Although Joe Burrow does return, the Ravens have not lost since starting 1-5. They're winners of 5 straight. I just want to put that into your guys' heads before you make your picks.
I love Joe Shiesty. I'm going with the Bengals.
And run with the Bengals in Baltimore.
It's crazy.
Baltimore. That's a hot pick. That is a hot take.
Yeah, well, I got to separate myself from you guys somehow.
That is hotter than the pot pie I had for lunch today.
Why'd you have pot pie for lunch? That's more of a dinner.
That's what my grandma cooked when we got back
No
from
arguing
working on
with
the
that
farm.
then. So there's no arguing with that then.
No, it was actually a really good pot pie too. But now we're getting distracted. So
I'm gonna take. I really don't want Joe Burrow to play this week, and because he's just gonna get hurt, and it's only gonna be worse for him. It's gonna be like a JJ Watt, but I'm gonna choose Baltimore on this one.
Baltimore. I'm also gonna run with Baltimore. They're on too hot of a streak especially with that Bengals defense. I don't see how the Bengals have to outscore Baltimore is really what it comes down to. And I just don't see that happening because the Jets outscored the Bengals and all these other things. And so I don't know. I picked the Ravens. That's my pick.
The Bengals with not Joe Burrow.
They did? Well,
that's what I'm saying
Lamar.
is, but like the Ravens have not they've won, but it's not like I haven't been blown away.
No, both they've had to outscore them every time just because the Bengals offense with Burrow is really tough, but that defense couldn't stop a fly on a wall. So, but the next game is the Chicago Bears. This is the Black Friday game. The Chicago Bears, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I think the Eagles out physical the Bears.
Yeah.
I hate the Bears and I hate the Eagles, so I'm going Chicago Bears.
Yeah, you hate the Eagles more than you hate the Bears, but I hate the Bears more than I hate the Eagles, so I'm going with the Eagles.
We're in your division. My thing is I think the Bears are frauds. I think the Eagles aren't as good as they were last year, but the game's in Philly, and I just don't see Caleb Williams being able to outdo the Eagles, so I'm going to pick the Eagles. Just because I'm not a big believer in Caleb Williams yet, but
I think he's a little zesty, personally.
I don't think there's little about it. I think he just is. But our next game is the San Francisco 49ers of the Cleveland Browns. I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers. As tough as that Browns defense is, I don't see that Browns offense doing anything. I also just really don't like Shedeur Sanders. I think he's overrated. And I'd love to see the 49ers whoop on him. No, don't say, no, that is not why. I said it on our. You guys can't say that. Anyways, I said it on our last podcast why I don't like him. So if you guys want to know why I don't like him, listen to last week's podcast episode.
I think he's overrated, but I don't think he's like really highly overrated. I think he's kind of good, but I also have no faith in Brock Purdy at all. But I do have faith in Christian McCaffrey, but Myles Garrett's on the other side. So I think it's a close one. But I think because Brock Purdy has more experience, the 49ers will win.
Okay.
Kaysen has to pick.
You pick. Oh yeah, you haven't picked.
Oh, I wrote it down, but I didn't say it out loud. I'd choose 49ers on this one.
Okay. Texans at Colts.
The Colts.
Who wins that game?
The Colts. Period. Even if CJ Stroud plays, the Colts are going to win.
I think CJ Stroud's overrated. That's my opinion.
I'm choosing Indy on this one as well.
I'm also going to choose Indy. I don't think Houston's good enough to stop Indy quite yet. The LA Rams at the Carolina Panthers.
The Rams are
This
going to
one's-
pretty much obliterate.
Yeah, I don't see Carolina being able to really compete at all with LA. So
I'm gonna go ahead and say that I'm also choosing the Rams on this one.
there you go. The
And
Buffalo
you know what's sad
Bills.
is, sorry, I'm just gonna
What?
say something real quick. I really feel bad for Carolina because we haven't seen a real good Carolina team since
2015.
fetching
Since that
Yeah.
2015 team.
Cam Newton. Yeah, there we go. Anyway,
No, I
Proceed.
agree. But so the next matchup, I've kind of been skipping through some because I realized there's a lot. The Buffalo Bills, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you got in that game?
Oh, my heart hurts for this game. I love Josh Allen and I love Aaron Rodgers.
This is like a
Because I want the Bills to be the team that faces the Packers in the Super Bowl. But I love Raj, man.
you know it'd be awesome if it was Steelers versus Packers.
A rematch of 2010.
Rematch at 45, but Aaron Rodgers is on the other team.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. Probably the Bills, just because Josh Allen's kind of him, but also it's kind of not been him in some games too. I'll go with the Steelers.
oh my hell,
Steelers.
that was crazy.
Kaysen, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go with the Bills on this one, just because, like Connor said, Josh Allen is him, and it's been too long since we haven't seen him. So I think this is his wake up, and we're gonna start seeing the real Josh Allen.
There you go. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this game because the Steelers defense is pretty tough. They got TJ Watt on there, obviously. I like Rodgers too, and I also really like Josh Allen. Honestly, I think best case scenario for me is just if they tie.
That's what I was gonna say too. I was gonna say I hope they tie.
Yeah, but obviously we don't want them to tie. I think I'm gonna go with the Bills on the
See, I
road.
was torn too.
I got to go with the Bills just because I don't know. Josh Allen, I agree with Kaysen. I think he needs a wake up call. I think this is his wake up call, and I think it comes in a big way on the road in Pittsburgh. So our final one that we're gonna go over: New York Giants at the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football.
Depends on if Jackson Dart's playing or not.
Honestly, my opinion, I picked the Patriots. I don't see, even with Jackson Dart, I don't see a way the Giants pull this one out. That's just my opinion, I think. I don't know. And I love Jackson Dart because he's a Utah boy, but, I just think that Patriots team, they've been clicking all year. They have 9 straight wins. I don't really see how they lose this game, especially in Foxborough.
Yeah,
Especially in Foxborough.
I think the Pats are
How they
gonna
lose.
win, but I think if Jackson plays, the Giants have a chance.
I agree.
I'm gonna go ahead and also say that the only reason the Giants got this one is if Jackson Dart's back. I like Jameis Winston. He's a funny guy. He just does not have what it takes to beat Drake May and the Patriots.
So you don't know famous Jameis well enough. Then he'll pop off for 600 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 4 picks. It just a minute, like I don't know.
Several years ago.
No, this year, bro. Jameis is him. I don't want any Jameis slander on this podcast. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Jameis is great. I don't know what you're saying, but okay. Well, we're gonna move on to a quick college pick'em because I think it's gonna give us hopefully less matchups than it did on the NFL one, but it
Why did
will.
we pick the Dolphins
Hey,
next?
because I just skipped over that one. I didn't want to hear no slander. So, and plus, I'm in charge this week of this part. So, But who do you have this week between the Ole Miss Rebels and the Mississippi State Bulldogs?
Mississippi State's been terrible this year. Ole Miss is really good. They're gonna roll.
Okay. Kason, what are your picks?
Sorry, who was it against? I was writing
Ole
this down.
Miss versus Mississippi State.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
And this is simply, I haven't seen either of these teams play, but this is simply just because on my NCAA college football 2026 on the PlayStation, my guy plays for Ole Miss. That's why I'm choosing Ole Miss.
Hey, there you go. I'm choosing Ole Miss just to spite all the SEC lovers at Barstool.
Frank Brandon Walker.
Even because a lot of Mississippi State fans. I'm picking Ole Miss just because I want to. San Diego State Aztecs at the New Mexico Lobos. San Diego State is 9-2, while New Mexico is 8-3.
Yeah, this game is tough. It's pretty split. The line's only like San Diego State is like -1.5, so they're predicting a close game. I'm also predicting a close game. I don't know. Give me New Mexico. Let me take the over.
I'm gonna
There
agree
you
with
go.
you. I'm gonna pick New Mexico at home this week. Especially to cap off that Mountain West play, I think New Mexico's gonna take it this week.
I got Lobos on this one.
There we go. Okay, another big time matchup. The Texas A&M Aggies versus the Texas Longhorns. So a battle of the Texans this week. Who do you have?
Well, we're gonna see who Arch Manning is this week because I think Texas A&M is in no matter what, even if they lose to Texas. But if Texas loses, then they're out of the playoff. So even though I think they should be out right now, the SEC bias is real, and they're gonna let a 3-loss team in. So I'm going with Texas A&M though because they're really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with Connor on this one. I've said it from the start. I think, not that he's overhyped, I just don't like how much hype he gets. Arch Manning, I just see so many better quarterbacks than him. Great quarterback, great kid. There's just so much other talent out there other than him, and Texas A&M is the real deal.
I'd have to agree. Like, I love Arch Manning. I love the Manning family. But Texas A&M, they've had a really great season this year. I know they almost had a brief scare against South Carolina a couple weeks ago. But I just think that the Longhorns, I don't know, I'd love to see the Longhorns win, but I just don't think they have enough to pull it out against the Aggies this week. So I'm gonna have to agree with both of you. I'm gonna have to go with the Aggies. But we're gonna move to another Western state, this time Big 12 matchup, another in-state rivalry between the Arizona Wildcats and the Arizona State Sun Devils. Who do you have?
Man, the Sun Devils is the obvious answer.
Okay. Kason?
I'll tell you who I want to win because they need to win for us to get a shot at the Big 12 championship. I need Arizona to win.
Okay. Honestly, Arizona's been playing some pretty good football lately, and Arizona State, they obviously beat up on Colorado last week. I don't know. This game is in Tucson. Or do they play in Tempe?
No,
Tucson is where the Wildcats play. That's right. Tempe, Arizona is where Arizona State
yeah,
plays.
they're in Tempe.
Yeah, so this game's in Tempe. I'm gonna be honest. I think this is a really close game because Arizona is actually favored over Arizona State. Funnily enough,
Yeah,
but
that's kind of crazy to me.
it's crazy to me
That's
too.
like
And
if
I
you're
don't know.
into gambling, that is free money.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Connor. Arizona State and Tempe. I don't know. That just seems hard to pick against, in my opinion. But we'll do a few more here just because of time. We're gonna do this one. Ohio State, Michigan. One of the biggest rivalries in college football. Michigan has won the last 3 or 4 matchups. Ohio State needs to win this game to stay perfect and to keep that number 1 spot. Who do you have, Michigan or Ohio State?
Give me the Ohio State Buckeyes.
I think rivalries are real, and I think Michigan's gonna win.
So, gosh, this one's also a tough one, but
I'm
I'm gonna go. It is in Michigan. It is in Big Blue. I'm gonna go with Michigan.
Yeah.
I think I'd love to see Ohio State be knocked off
Me too.
just because I don't like Ohio State. I think this game goes either way, though. I don't think this is a blowout by
Oh.
any means by either team. So I'm gonna pick Michigan. That's my pick. Who do you have between the Vanderbilt Commodores and the Tennessee Volunteers? This game is in Knoxville.
I like Diego, but I think Tennessee's gonna win.
Kason?
I got Tennessee on this one.
I'm gonna also pick Tennessee. I don't think Vanderbilt has enough in the tank to be able to take off Tennessee. And our last pick, obviously, is going to be BYU versus UCF.
Yeah. This is not a normal kind of BYU game because usually, even though we are incredibly insane, like we're so good, usually the line and the spread is not as freaking large. Usually we're like underdogs are favored by like 1.5, 2.5, but we are 17.5 point favorites in this game. UCF is not much good. BYU has BYU by 1 million.
I'm gonna agree. I think BYU wins this game, and honestly, pretty handedly, pretty dominant fashion. I don't think UCF has what it takes to compete with
No.
that offense BYU's got. Even if Chase Roberts doesn't play,
Which rest him,
you know, 'cause
bro.
they obviously
Keep him
put it
out.
down.
We don't.
I think so too. Like UCF's not, they're not as important of a matchup as Texas Tech is
That's a
in
bad.
2 weeks.
That's I don't like that statement. UCF is an important matchup. We need to win this, but we don't have to worry about them as much.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
meaning.
yeah.
And so I take BYU.
Go
BYU
Tigers.
it is. All across the board. All righty. Well, any final word from you guys before we wrap up this episode?
Utah sucks.
Okay. What are your biggest predictions this week before we wrap up?
Packers are gonna win. Bears are gonna lose, and Michigan's gonna take the dub.
There you go. Kason.
Something I'll be fasting for this week is that Arizona beats Arizona State.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. I think BYU takes the cake, like I said, against UCF, and I think Michigan takes it against Ohio State. It's kind of my predictions. It's my final word.
I also need Houston
alrighty.
to lose. My bad.
And Houston to lose. There you go. All righty. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on this first ever Catch Up Rundown episode. Be sure to catch us every Tuesday and Friday here on wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in. Be sure to like. Be sure to follow. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Be sure to leave us some comments and give us a rating, preferably 5 stars. If we don't deserve 5 stars, just give us to it anyway. Any last words?
All good.
All righty. Thanks everybody for catching up. Catch you next time.